This morning we're going to start a series of talks on the Heart Sutra. And today I'm just going to talk about the title of the chant, Maha Prajna Paramita Heart Sutra. And the Eno announces the chants and says Maha Prajna Paramita Heart Sutra. So this sutra is one of the greatest Mahayana teachings, and it's chanted in all Zen centers everywhere. And it's a condensation or the heart, so to speak, of the Prajna Paramita literature. And it's said that even by chanting the Heart Sutra in Japanese, you can get the whole benefit, even if you don't understand any of the words. But of course, we chant it in English, it still doesn't mean that we understand it, but you'll still get the benefit. We have a koan called the Aji-kwan, and it says to see Aji-kwan clearly wipes out the 5 grave sins, and to gain results by true words, this very body becomes Buddha. Well, Aji, Ji is kind of a diminutive, which means endearing. So, and Kwan, I believe, means the word. So the endearing word wipes out the 5 grave sins. And to gain results by true words, this very body becomes Buddha. This very body is Buddha. So Aji-kwan is the koan of the, I won't even say the word, I'll just say the sound, ah. And that's the essential koan of the Heart Sutra. If you want to understand the Heart Sutra, you must put yourself totally into the chanting. And if you totally put yourself into the chanting, subject and object disappear. And there's no separation. And that state is a state of emptiness. Everything is fully concentrated in that moment as concentration. And it's not even chanting anymore, it's the whole universe. It's everything. So we chant Maha Prajna Paramita Heart Sutra. Right there is a manifestation of the Aji-kwan. Then, of course, we start Avalokiteshvara. So in the title, Maha means great or big or vast or enormous. So we say that it's so great that there's no outside. So it covers all space, all time. And if there's no outside, then there's no inside. And so everything is one body. That's the nature of reality. But we have to experience it in order for it to be our living reality. So it's also the state of emptiness. When the self disappears, others disappear also, and the circle becomes infinite. And there's no outside, nothing other than this no self. And then when this self disappears, there's no inside. And the Buddha taught that there's no self. But if you subtly transform the notion of self to be the notion of no self, you've created a self again. So just forget the self. Now the next word is prajna. Prajna is the wisdom of emptiness. It's nothing but the functioning of Maha, which is a one body, or everything as it is. Now the first half of the Heart Sutra, when we chanted, explains what prajna is. And the second half explains the functioning of the bodhisattva who realizes this prajna. Prajna is everything as it is. And the Buddha also said that everything is impermanent or is changing. So prajna is the enlightened state, and it is changing. And if we can really get that and let it soak in, there's no way to be upset about ourselves. No way to be dissatisfied or guilty about not doing things in some way that they think they should be done. It's all going to change. And instead of being tormented by guilt and bad feelings, we simply say, let's atone and do it better. So how do we do it better? That's the focus and point of our practice. Sitting on the cushion, we quiet the mind. Then we're able to experience ourselves in a wider context. And we're able to observe the activity of our mind without identifying with it. So we're beginning to experience Maha. And the more we're able to see the strategies we develop to protect our view of who we are, the less potent these strategies become. We need to do it over and over again in order to shine the light of prajna in our dark places. So prajna is empty in the sense that it has no content of its own. It's everything as it is, like a mirror that reflects what appears and then is empty when there's nothing in front of it. So everything is perfect as it is. So one synonym for perfect is absolute. So perfect does not imply good over bad. Perfect is neither good nor bad, just what is. When we say that everything is perfect, we're pointing to this absence of dualism. For the one body, there is just one thing happening. Now, paramita means perfection, or it can mean having gone to the other shore. So, Prajna Paramita is the wisdom that takes us from the shore of delusion to the shore of awakening. And there are 6 paramitas articulated in Buddhism. And all 6 of them individually can take us from the shore of delusion to the shore of awakening. And the first one usually is dana, which means giving or generosity. And sila, which is discipline or the precepts. When you have jukai, you're receiving the sila paramita. Shanti means patience. Virya means effort or energy. Samadhi is meditative concentration. And the last one is prajna or wisdom. So the heart in the title, is the seat of our being. It's the source of all things. What kind of heart you have determines how your life manifests. The heart of our being is the heart of not knowing, of being open. Master Dogen said, once the heart of our practice is grasped, you're like the dragon when she gains the water, like the tiger when he enters the mountain. It said that in Chinese lore, the dragons live in the water, and so that's where they're really free, where they really express themselves. And same thing with tigers in the mountain. So Dogen continues, for you must know that right there in Zazen, the right Dharma is manifesting itself, and that from the first, dullness and distraction are struck aside. Traps and snares can never reach it. So he's encouraging us to let go of all of our hooks that keep us from being free, from really expressing the heart of our practice. Of course, the last word, sutra, it literally means the warp, as in weaving. There's a warp in the wolf, I think is what the other. So the warp is just the lines that hold the tapestry together, and the wolf is what creates the pattern. So the sutra are the threads that hold everything together and allow the patterns to emerge. That's literally what a sutra is. So let's clarify Prajna a bit more. Dogen's teacher, Tendo Nyojo, wrote a poem about Prajna. It goes like this. The entire body is the mouth hanging in the air, or hanging in emptiness. It does not matter from which direction the wind blows, north, south, east, west. The wind bell always makes the sound of Prajna. Ding, ding, ding. So no matter what the conditions are, no matter what the situation is, that's always the sound of Prajna. And this sound means everything. It means sight, taste, touch. Always. So Haikuin Roshi, who was one of the important American Zen Roshis who died a few years ago, was quite prolific in writing books, and he wrote one called The Practice of Perfection about the Paramitas. And he wrote that when he was still young in his practice, a friend said, the songs of the birds is Prajna, the sound of the wind is Prajna. And he said that didn't make any sense to him. To him, Prajna was some state of realization that's beyond the worldly, beyond the secular, and beyond the profane. It's some state of religious ecstasy that makes us impervious to the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. So later, Haikuin Roshi realized that if Prajna had been a snake, it would have bitten him. He said that he realized what his friend said. And it reminded me when I was first in San Francisco, I wanted to see Fisherman's Wharf. And I had this picture of what the Fisherman's Wharf was because I'd come up the coast from Los Angeles, and I stopped at Monterey Bay on the way to San Francisco, and they have a Fisherman's Wharf there, but it's a pier that goes out into the ocean. And And they have one like that in Santa Monica that I saw. So I was looking for a big pier that went out, with all of these fish stalls on it and things. And so I was standing where the map said it was, and I asked the policeman if he could direct me to Fisherman's Wharf. And he said, if it fell down, it would hit you. So I was looking for something else. Did not appreciate the qualities of the San Francisco Fisherman's Wharf, but later I came to appreciate them. Yeah, particularly all of the seafood restaurants on the wharf. So there's a koan in the Blue Cliff Records that talks about Prajna. It's case 90, and it goes like this. A monk asked Chimon, what is the essence of Prajna? And Chimon said, the oyster encloses the bright moon. And then the monk said, what's the function of Prajna? And Chimon said, the rabbit conceives her young. Well, according to Chinese folklore, the pearls are formed when an oyster captures the moon. And rabbits are conceived in the light of the full moon. But if you want to understand Chimon's point in this koan, we don't need to dwell on the Chinese legends. But actually, according to my biology class in high school, oysters create pearls from sand that gets in their membranes, and they cause irritation. And then the oyster secretes fluids to protect itself from the sand, and that fluid hardens to make a pearl. Okay. So we can say without difficulties, without irritations, there would be no pearls, no gems. So without going through the dark cave of demons, there's no realization of prajna. So like Tendo Nyojo says, it does not matter from which direction the wind blows. Northeast, southwest, the wind bell always makes the sound of prajna. So sometimes things are going smoothly, and that's prajna, and sometimes we're having difficulties, and that's prajna. I like the famous story or the comment of Master Uman, who said every day is a good day. And my teacher, Maizumi Roshi, always added, even having difficulties, every day is a good day. So every day is a manifestation of prajna. We just don't realize that everything is prajna, whichever direction the wind blows from, because we have judgments that it should be this way and not that way. We think, or maybe you thought, I did certainly, when I'm enlightened, I'll have no problems. I won't have to struggle, I won't have to work hard, everybody will love and respect me. So if you love what you're doing, work is not work. Struggles are not struggles. And people will love you because you manifest love itself. That's the essence of prajna. What about the functioning of prajna? How does prajna manifest in the world? The Heart Sutra explains it. And we'll talk more about that in subsequent meetings. Dogen said, all Buddhas are nothing but Prajna Paramita. Prajna Paramita is the entire Buddha Dharma. This Dharma is the form of emptiness. There's no creation, no destruction, nothing pure or impure, not increasing nor decreasing. The manifestation of Prajna Paramita is the manifestation of a Buddha. If you seek the truth, you will learn that to honor Prajna Paramita is to meet the Buddha. And you cannot say that you have truly met the Buddha unless you serve him. Now, I've often said that our practice is not about what we can get out of it. It's about service. How do we manifest our bodhisattva's vows? The first line of the Heart Sutra says, Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva doing deep Prajna Paramita. That's how we manifest our bodhisattva's vows. Since prajna is beyond space, how can there be deep and shallow? Since it's beyond time, how can there be ancient and modern? Haikuin says not to confuse the pheasant with the phoenix. So, what does he mean by that? He's saying the pheasant gets stuck in right and wrong, good and bad, deep and shallow, ancient and modern, whereas the phoenix manifests Prajna Paramita and isn't stuck anywhere. Now, although prajna is sometimes equated with emptiness, it transcends emptiness and form and encompasses both. You know, the Heart Sutra says that form is exactly emptiness and emptiness is exactly form. And these are koans that we have, and some of you have worked on them. Form is emptiness and emptiness is form. They're not saying the same thing, each one of those lines. You know, like in algebra, there's a commutative principle. So if you say A is equal to B, that's the same thing as saying B is equal to A. But in our practice, you have to realize both form is emptiness and then emptiness is form. But Master Kazan wrote this poem that maps to these statements. He said, when clear waters range to the vast blue autumn sky, how can they compare with a hazy moon on a spring night? Most people want to have pure clarity, but sweep as you will, you cannot empty the mind. So people want to rest in pure clarity and clear waters. But what about the ambiguity of the hazy moon? The hazy moon on a spring night, you know, where the clouds are covering the moon and then the moon peeks through and then it gets covered again. So we all want to empty the mind, but sweep as you will, you can't empty it. That's because the lawn still needs mowing, and the meals need fixing, and the spouse and children need attention, and the zendo needs cleaning. So in order to do that, you know, we need a functional lawnmower, and fresh food and utensils and time to spend with our partner, the cleaning utensils to clean the zendo. So without prajna, there would be no Buddha way. All of the paramitas are contained in prajna. And when we realize prajna, then all of the paramitas become deeper and in turn deepen our experience and realization of prajna. But then we have to let go of deep and shallow and not make a mistake, not mistaken a pheasant for a phoenix.